Chapter 6. I won't sing blues for anyone. They dragged me into a cell. I turned around as Pete the guard closed the door. Please, I have a doll in my room upstairs. Please just bring it to me. Pete looked at me sympathetically and quickly broke eye contact. I can't bring you stuff. Sorry, Piper. He sighed and walked away. I looked behind myself and started to sob. I was alone. Not even a cellmate. No one cared. I sobbed at the bars for half an hour until I was startled by echoing footsteps through the hall. I jumped and pulled myself across the cell. As I watched the bars in fear, the princess approached my cell. Hey, Piper. She kneeled to my level. I looked away from her. I didn't want her sympathy before. I didn't need it now. I know you're upset, but I need you to talk to me. You need me to cooperate? You need me to rat out my friends? You need me to open up to you? Because how I feel is just so important to you? I growled through the bars. Rapunzel shook her head and spoke softly. Not any of that. Come here. I scoffed and looked at her. She stared at my tear-stained face in concern. Then furrowed her eyebrows and stood, presumably to seem more intimidating. Piper, I'm not sugarcoating this. Come here. We are talking. I became scared of the princess in that moment, so I stood and walked toward her highness anxiously. What do you want? I said, attempting to sound composed, but ending up sounding like a wreck. Look, I know being imprisoned is hard, her highness started. Well, I know it pretty well. She laughed. I'm leaving Corona for I don't know how long. I need you to keep an eye on Varian. Even if something happens, please, just do what's best for him. I know sometimes that feels wrong or like it will hurt him, but I trust you know what you're doing. She looked me in the eye. She was really trying to drill this in. And what if I don't? What if I do what's best for me? I wanted to make sure Varian was okay, and I wanted to help him, but the last thing I wanted was to prove the princess right. Rapunzel sighed. I don't think you'll do that. She shook her head and started to leave. Rapunzel, wait! I sputtered anxiously. She turned around, a hopeful smile on her face. Can I request my cell changed? I don't like being alone. Rapunzel shook her head again. I don't have that power. She walked back towards my cell. But take this. She reached into her bag and set my doll into the food slot. George, I whispered excitedly. Rapunzel chuckled softly. Eugene said it was important to you. She glanced further down the hall. I believed Varian's cell to be that way. Take care of him, Piper. And I don't mean the doll. She laughed, walking away. I don't understand why everyone was putting it onto me to help Varian. He wouldn't listen to me. Now that I was alone, I was more useless than before. So much pressure to complete a task I barely understood. But at least I had my stupid doll, the one named after my stupid brother, the one my dad loved more than me, the one who got all the attention, the one who always took over my arts and crafts, and the one who always did arts and crafts with me, the one who practically raised me and taught me to read and made this doll for me. Why did I hate him so much? It didn't matter. He was gone. I laid on the uncomfortable bed and tried my best to sleep, unable to toss and turn due to the small size of the bed. The princess's words echoed in my head. Don't have the power? You're the princess. What do you mean? I laid in my bed all night, sitting up in shock when the sun rose, and I heard Stan, the guard, coming down the hall with the food cart. Morning, Piper. He slid the tray of eggs through the slot, the eggs accompanied by a spork. I walked to eat the food tiredly. I don't think this was the first night I had gone without sleep. I didn't sleep a lot when George passed, though the lack of sleep was still unappreciated. I put my food tray back in the slot to be picked up and sat on my bed. I tried to sleep on the metal bed, but it was too cold. Heat rises after all, so the lowest point in the castle must have been the coldest. A couple hours later, my stomach growled again. Just as it did so, I heard someone coming down the hall. The food cart pulled up, pushing it with Stan once more. He placed my tray in the slot. The tray held a new spork and a bowl of cold porridge. I waited for him to leave as I grabbed my food. As he left, he dropped a key. Excuse me, I sputtered out. Then a loud shush came from across the hall, as a lady with bright red hair tried to pull the key in with her foot. I don't know about you, kid, but I'm not getting on that boat, she snapped. Boat? I thought in confusion. I quickly kicked the key in my direction, making it even more impossible for her to get it than before. "What the heck?" she hissed. "We're not supposed to leave our cells," I said. "Oh, so you're some goody two-shoes?" she mocked. "I'm sorry. It sounds like someone likes it down here." I believe she was trying to make fun of me, but I thought the little trouble we made, the sooner we'd get out of here. I'm not a goody two-shoes. I sputtered. "You're just scared," she finished my sentence. Stan walked down the hall and spotted the key. "Oh, guess I dropped that. Thanks for not breaking out, Piper." I nodded shyly as he unlocked my cell. You're gonna have to come with me." He opened the door, then stepped to the red-haired lady's cell, unlocking it as well. "You too, Lady Caine." She stepped out, Stan cuffing her, then cuffing me. "Where are we going?" I asked. "You're being, transported," he said, glancing at me sympathetically. "So we're going on a boat?" I stuttered. "Aw, someone gets seasick," Lady Caine mocked. "Maybe." I looked down in shame. Lady Caine laughed and Stan pushed her. "Hey, there's nothing wrong with getting seasick. My wife gets seasick." He proceeded to go on several rants about his wife and how much he cares about her. It was very sweet. Halfway to the dock, Lady Caine gagged. "Ugh! Enough about your wife. I'd rather be executed than hear one more word about Samantha," she hissed. "Rude," I muttered. "What was that pipsqueak?" She lurched toward me and laughed when I flinched. Stan pushed Lady Caine away from me as we reached the dock. Hey, no fighting." Lady Caine rolled her eyes as we were pushed onto the boat and into the cellar. Along with us was a horse, 2 heavy-built twins, Lady Caine's men, and a couple other miscellaneous criminals. We were shoved into a shared cell and the cuffs were taken off us. "Well," Lady Caine started. "Looks like we're bunking, Pipsqueak." "Don't call me that," I hissed, gripping my doll. She cackled. "Oh, someone offended?" she mocked. I opened my mouth to speak, but she interrupted. "Look, kid, I'm in charge here. Half the people here kneel to me anyway, so you better follow suit or you're gonna get something much worse than a little pushing around." She flicked my nose and I stepped back, falling into a bucket. She laughed at me and I blushed. "You could be nicer," I muttered. "What was that?" she hissed. "I said you could be a little nicer," I shouted. She kneeled to me. "You got zest, kid," Lady Caine started. "I hate zest. So fix yourself up or we're going to have a problem." She laid on one of the 2 beds in the cell and I tiredly followed. I got up in the middle of the night to hurl in the same bucket I had fallen into. I looked up to see Lady Caine sharpening a piece of wood. "Kids," she scoffed. Tears streamed down my face. The mocking had finally got to me. She must have heard the sobs since she spoke up. "Geez, it was funny before, but now it's just sad. You good?" "No," I groaned, sitting up. I turned to Lady Caine to see she wasn't just sharpening the wood, but carving it. "Want to talk about it?" she said, leaning forward. I looked at her piece of wood. "What are you going to do with that?" I asked. She inspected it for a moment. "Get out of this place. You better not tattle." "Of course not." I shyly tucked a piece of hair behind my ear. She rolled her eyes. "You can't change the subject, kid. You're going to cry in front of me. You better tell me why." I sighed. "Well, my mom left, my brother died, my dad hated me. Then I found out someone who I thought cared about me tricked me into helping him with his evil plan to nearly kill the princess. And, to top it all off, my dad went missing in the middle of all of it. And now I'm going to be transported to some island with a bunch of criminals where I'm probably gonna die." I dramatically laid on the floor and sighed, only to quickly sit back up again to throw up. Lady Caine sighed. "Yeesh, I thought I had it bad because my dad was arrested in front of me." She leaned back and broke eye contact. "Look, I feel sympathy for you. How about when I bring my gang out of here and take over the boat, you can be at my side?" I looked in awe. I couldn't believe, after I told her how I hated being a criminal, she would suggest I join her gang. "Oh, get your jaw off the floor. It's just a suggestion. What's your name?" She hid her new wooden key under her pillow. "Piper," I muttered. She scoffed. "I hate that. It's not striking fear into anyone. How about Miss Candle? I looked at her in confusion. Miss Candle? Yeah, Lady Caine started. You smell nice and everyone likes you, until you burn them and they see how dangerous you really are. I blinked. But I'm not dangerous. It's decided. You, my student, are Miss Candle, Lady Caine smirked. I nodded, leaning back over my bucket. Okay, then. Once I finished, I laid back on my bed and fell asleep. End chapter 6.